Hi, this is Stephen Nill. I'm interviewing Lynn Malzone Ierardi, who has been in the gift and estate planning field for more than 30 years. She's a leader in the charitable gift planning community. In fact, Lynn was elected chair of the board of the National Association of Charitable Gift Planners after serving terms as treasurer and chair-elect. She's been a member of CGP since 1993 and is a member of the CGP Leadership Institute. Lynn's a past board member, conference chair, and past president of the New Jersey Council of Charitable Gift Planners, a current board member of the Planned Giving Council of Greater Philadelphia, and a regular faculty member for the Planned Giving course. As the director of gift planning for the University of Pennsylvania, she's worked with several schools and centers and handled gifts of real estate university-wide. She has served as an independent consultant to a variety of nonprofit organizations through her firm, Gift Planning Advisor, which she founded in 2002. Prior to joining Penn, she held gift planning positions in health and higher education, served as vice president with the Merrill Lynch Center for Philanthropy, and practiced estate planning, tax, and real estate law. Lynn, it's a pleasure having you aboard. As you know, you and I had a chance to talk about your book when it first came out, which is Storytelling, the Secret Sauce of Fundraising Success. Lynn, just trying to get your biography out in a brief moment here leads me to really understand what a busy person you must be. And so you've written this book, and I'm sure you wanted to make sure, if you're going to take the time to do that, that you're going to have impact. Has your book had the impact that you were hoping for?
I had somebody call me and tell me how they were preparing for a board presentation after they had read my book. And they completely changed their approach to their board presentation to incorporate stories and use the principles in the book for their presentation. And he actually shared with me a couple pieces of the presentation, and I was really wowed. And he told me that it was the best presentation he'd ever done in his career, and he had the best response that he'd ever gotten to a presentation. And he attributed it to what he learned in the book. So that's one of the misconceptions about the book is, like, when I mention the book, sometimes people think I'm talking about the stories that we put in newsletters, and we tell the story of the little boy that we helped. And, we run the risk of, are we playing on somebody's plight to raise more money? But this topic is much bigger than just that. And that experience of having somebody contact me and saying, hey, I used what I learned from the book for a board presentation, and it made my board more enthused about this. That's much different than the story in a newsletter about somebody that the organization has helped. Great sales are wonderful, but when I get feedback from somebody personally who shares how the book impacted them and what they did with it, how they used it in their own work, that's really rewarding, and that's powerful, and was a good motivation to continue to promote the book.
So in 2020, we had this perfect storm that is still with us now. It's not like it went away. We had, of course, the worldwide pandemic, which is for many nonprofits a bit of a body slam. Now, some of the largest institutions, they're all impacted, but have weathered things perhaps a little bit better. I know Penn's doing really well because you did an amazing. You posted some amazing results from your just closed campaign, I understand. But there are so many nonprofits that are not Penn, that are smaller and struggled even in the best of times to meet their mission, to garner the resources they need. And so your book is really written for them. But we had the COVID pandemic, and then we also had the Black Lives Matter movement, which arose from very tragic circumstances, the George Floyd death and so forth. All that came together in 2020, and now we're doing this interview in 2021.
Steve, I think that the primary reason that I felt compelled to write a new chapter and produce a second edition of the book is because of the significant events that occurred in 2020 and continue even now. Um, the world is noisier than ever before. Digital consumption is at an all-time high, which makes it even more important that we communicate effectively, that our messages stand out in this noisy world. And storytelling makes storytelling even more critical. There was a natural place for the new chapter in the book because there was already a chapter on navigating change with storytelling. And of course, the changes that occurred in 2020 were huge. So it fit very nicely in the book and really enhances the book for why storytelling is so important. A lot of the changes that were triggered by events in 2020 are things that will stick, whether it's work from home or movement in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or the need for storytelling. All of those things are going to stick. They've surveyed nonprofits globally, not just in the United States, but globally. And the response indicated that those nonprofits that have pivoted and are moving forward and doing well all indicate that one of the tools that they're going to need to be successful moving forward is impactful storytelling. Not just storytelling, but storytelling used across the board for fundraising, for marketing and communications. So it's about raising more money, but it's also about the impact of nonprofits, and storytelling is one of the biggest tools they need going forward.
When somebody picks up your book, what are 3 takeaways that they can expect after reading your book?
Number one, and this is, about storytelling very broadly, but storytelling is the most powerful tool that we have in the communication arena. It's the most effective way to communicate, whether it's about fundraising or anything else. So that would be one, is that that storytelling is so powerful. Number two, I would say that storytelling raises more money. And there's lots of evidence in the book about how that happens and why that's true. And that includes research like putting people in MRI machines and watching their brain activity when they hear a story and how we respond as human beings to story. It also includes information about studies that they've done to show how we respond differently to data and story, and that people are more generous. They're more likely to give more. So it's that we can raise more money with powerful storytelling. And I would say the third takeaway is that you can, whilst for some people it comes naturally and we tell stories very easily, I would say the third takeaway is that you can learn to be a more effective storyteller and use that for things like presentations. When you stand up to do a board presentation or you stand up to do a breakout presentation at a conference, you can be a better presenter with storytelling. You can be a better fundraiser when you're face to face with donors, if you know what to listen for and what to share more strategically using storytelling, and even for a job interview. So it can be storytelling can be used effectively in lots of facets of what we do as professionals and as people.
Lynn, I understand that you're offering keynote and breakout presentations and even workshop sessions on storytelling. Tell us more about that. Because
Sure.
you've written this book, now people want to talk with you. So what are you doing?
And it's so much fun because what the topic has, such a great appeal. And that's one of the great things about it is, you mentioned that I wrote the book, not just for places like Penn, which are really big and have robust fundraising programs, but for nonprofits of all sizes. And that's the beauty of storytelling. It has an appeal for all sorts of organizations, whether it's a social services organization, higher ed, arts and culture. It has a broad appeal for the kind of organization. It also has a broad appeal for the size of the organization. These tools are useful across the board. And what I'm finding is people want to learn more. They want to work, roll up their sleeves and learn effectively. So I've already done a number all over the country, across the board, from Philadelphia on the East Coast to LA on the West Coast, presentations about storytelling, whether it's for a conference. Now what I'm seeing is a lot of interest for board training. Let's help our board members to understand the power of storytelling, because we often hear board members say, I'm not comfortable asking for money. I don't want to ask my friends for money or my colleagues for money. But if we can teach board members to share stories effectively and gather stories effectively, they can be more effective board members without having to make that ask for money. And I've gone into AFP councils across the country, plan giving councils across the country to share this information. But now I'm even working with individual organizations. I went into the American Red Cross and worked with their staff. And the organizations are bringing me in to do workshops, not just to share what I've learned about storytelling, but to roll up their sleeves and do some exercises and some thinking about, what does our website look like? Are we effectively using storytelling, or could we do this in a different way?
I want to just congratulate you on your new second edition of your very popular book. And thank you for thinking to add a new chapter that really focuses in on the unique challenges that arose, as we talked about, from COVID, from the social justice side of things as well. And all that stuff is just really coming at the nonprofit world and changing so much of what we sort of took for granted, and really, and putting the time and effort to do that. I know it was a lot of work for you to put out a new edition. I'm sure it's going to be very well received. I know I enjoyed reading it. So
thanks, Steve. It's great to chat with you today.
My pleasure. Thank you.